equip 700 health centers. Just think about that. In all your constituencies, all of our constituencies, the challenges we are grappling with, this money that is stolen by these thieves in government could fix that. And that's 1 year. And the following year, that money can do a lot more. We need to redeem this money. Right Honorable Speaker, according to the Auditor General's report that was just released to us, we are losing 53 billion shillings per annum to ghost employees. These are people who either died, retired, resigned, or who are even non-existent. 53 billion shillings as part of our wage bill every single year. And yet there are things we keep complaining about and this money could fix. Our demand is that government takes stern action against all the culpable accounting officers, because this is the Auditor General's report. And so we know these fellows. We need to take serious action, right, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me talk about fiscal indiscipline. We plan, but then again we behave as if we do not plan. Every so often the Minister of Finance comes to Parliament to present supplementary budgets. Now, the understanding of supplementary budgets is that these should be especially for the unforeseeables. But the Minister of Finance, even at the end of last year, kept tabling supplementary budgets for wages and salaries for staff who have running contracts. How does that make sense? These are staff, they've got running contracts, you knew about it, but you've not planned for it. It does not make sense, right, Honorable Speaker, especially if we are talking about having fiscal discipline. We want to see better in that regard. Let me talk a bit about our debt burden. And the Minister of Finance was trying to make us believe that our debt burden is just 86 trillion shillings. It's not true. Because debt burden is not that which you borrow only, which you borrow domestically and elsewhere. 10.5 trillion shillings is owed by government to, among others, business persons that supply to government, goods and services. These are people that government has refused to pay. We don't understand why. People borrow money from banks for their businesses. And you are not paying as government. Their businesses are crumbling. And yet these are taxpayers. Actually, what we should be doing as government is to, in many ways, propel these businesses. But we are cutting off their wings. They are supplying goods and services to you as government, and you don't want to pay. And you don't even want to consider that as part of your debt burden. I don't understand why. It just does not make sense. And by the way, this figure keeps growing. Right, Honorable Speaker, for want of time, I would have taken you through how it has grown every single year. It keeps growing. And for this particular budget that's been presented to us, government has only availed 200 billion shillings. You want to give information? Okay.
Thank you, Honorable colleague, for giving way. And I want to thank the Right Honorable Speaker for the opportunity to provide information to the colleague. In government, I would like to say that the authority responsible for compilation of statistics is Uganda Bureau of Statistics. Now, there are highly specialized statistics that OBOS is not responsible for, and one of them is the monetary statistics, which Bank of Uganda actually is responsible for its compilation. The fiscal statistics, on the other hand, is the responsibility of Minister of Finance. So if you're looking for any official statistics on public debt, where you must refer to is Minister of Finance. And therefore, I beg colleagues that we listen to the fiscal authority, that's Minister of Finance, as represented by Honorable Msasizi, and then we do the analysis. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, colleague. One of my colleagues
Point of order.
Right, Honorable Speaker.
I'm trying to put to order the honorable colleague that has been submitting.
No, you're putting to order the
No,
rope.
not the law.
No, the
His
one on
submission.
floor. No, the one on
it's
the-
him. Right,
No, no,
honorable,
no.
Right, honorable Speaker, I thought I sought for.
Honorable Namuga, the rules are clear. The one holding the floor is the one you're putting to order. So if it is not rope, you leave him. I thought you are putting rope to order. So since the other party is not on the floor, so you can't put him on order.
Thank you.
But during debate, you can clarify on what he said.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. And I thank the colleague for the information. Somebody at the back shouted and said, "Lope, only allow information if it is relevant." I said, well, I'll listen to the colleague. He's given his information. Again, in very practical terms, it does not make sense. When you say you only owe those you have borrowed from, once people provide goods and services to you, and you have not paid them, you owe that money. In very simple economics language. So, in the layman's understanding, you owe that money. It is a debt. I don't know why you want to call it anything else. So you cannot convince us here that your debt as government is only 86 trillion shillings. No, because the 10.5 trillion shillings is money that you owe, and you should pay it. Because like I was saying, these are business people who are struggling to eke out a living. They are borrowing money. Their businesses are shutting down because government is such a bad entity to deal with. There's no other way to put it. So,
maybe just for the interruption, Honorable Joe, there's something indeed which I would also want to understand as he submits. How come these other debts, we call them statutory, and we must provide here money and we pay? Then me, a Ugandan, who has borrowed money from a bank, staked my house, supplied the government, when my debt comes, you say the one you borrowed from America is okay, it's statutory, you can't default. But on mine you can default. They would rather sell my house. Okay? Mine is not statutory. So, that's what I'm picking from what Honorable. Because you see, I have met Ugandans who have lost property due to government failing to pay their money. They borrowed money against their houses. Their houses are being taken. Why do we, in a layman's, let's say in a layman's, because most of Ugandans are not economists, we are laymen, including me, I'm not an economist. Okay? How come you classify these other debts, foreign debts and what, in such a way that they must be paid? Then for me, who has even provided you a service, mine is classified as second priority. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I can see the spirit and the reasoning under which and the sentiments that are behind the feelings of our colleagues and yourself and myself. Yes. But Mr. Speaker, there is a very big difference between what we borrow to finance the budget and what someone commits out there on a premise that what he or she has supplied the government will be paid and he settles the debt. So we need to put a difference there. Mr. Speaker, from the layman's language, they are all debts. And from the accounting perspective, they are all debts. That is why the Auditor General is disclosing them in the books. But from Honorable Chai's perspective, recognition of these elements are practically different. If you want the official information on debt, on public debt stock, it is not Auditor General, It is not Bank of Uganda, it is the Ministry of Finance. Mr. Speaker, back to your issue. Point of order.
No, Honorable, proceed. Honorable Minister, proceed and submit. I haven't allowed anyone on this.
Mr. Speaker, our verified domestic arrears, what you... Mr. Speaker, on verified domestic arrears is 2.7 trillion. We have verified domestic arrears amounting to 2.7 trillion. Mr. Speaker, we have a commitment as Minister of Finance that at least on an annual basis, we, as much as possible, try to reduce them. I wish we had all the resources to settle the 2.7 trillion at a go. But in the circumstances, every financial year, like in 21-22, we provided 666 billion to settle domestic arrears. In this year, we have so far paid 200 billion. Even next year, we have budgeted to pay another 200 billion. And this is over and above the provision for court awards. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, the spirit is there.
Thank you.
What is limiting us are the resources, but we really desire to settle all these domestic arrears.
You know, my role was to understand properly the logic behind all this. So, Honorable Joe will continue.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for that very relevant information and guidance you gave. The Minister needs to stop speaking too much English. Huh? This is the total amount of money that you owe. Just pay your debts. That's the bottom line. Especially, for me, my bigger challenge is our Ugandan locals, because you see, that's money that keeps within the economy. These fellows employ young people. You're not paying them, they are closing their businesses, so the entire economy gets to suffer. They pay taxes and so on. We tend to focus a great deal, by the way, on foreign investors. They come here, we give them free land, we give them tax holidays for several years. Of late, we're even guaranteeing them money. What kind of investors are those? And yet our local investors who are putting in their own money that they borrowed from the bank, we don't want to pay them. Let's get serious. Honorable Speaker, let me talk a little about sports. Our bid to co-host the AFCON is a daunting task, simply because for a very long time we have not prioritized sports. My hope is that we can wake up. Sports employs many young people. They're out there shining. We normally celebrate them when they return with medals. But in the process of going, they are normally on their own. They are in solitude, trying to look for money here and there. There's a time when there had to be a fundraising for shoes for our athletes, some years back. Can we be serious? There was a promise about Akibua Stadium. Right Honorable Speaker, we need commitment from government to construct this stadium. Because it's not just a stadium going to be for the northern part of the country, it's a stadium for Uganda. And so we need commitment. But even as government gives us commitment, we want that there gets to be proper value for money, because the figure that government has quoted is $48 million. That's about 183 billion shillings. When you're to try and make comparisons, I was trying to make comparisons. There's a stadium called Marsabit in Kenya with a seating capacity. By the way, the Akibua Stadium is meant to be a 20,000 seater. This Marsabit has a capacity of 15,000 people. And it's meant to cost 295 million Kenya shillings. That's 6.9 billion Uganda shillings. This is a 15,000 seater. Ours is a 20,000 seater. And government is telling us they need 183 billion shillings. These figures have got to make sense, because currently they don't make sense. We want the stadium, but we want value for money. We don't want the animal, as talking about corruption, to seep herein, as we have seen many times. I'll take the information much later. Let me move to health. Right Honorable Speaker. I have declined the information, Honorable colleague. Thank you. Right Honorable Speaker, we have had this coining of medical tourism in this country because government officials, whenever they are unwell and they cannot be treated
sorry,
here.
Government of ministers, take note on issues where you feel the information is not right, then you will be given a chance to clarify. You will get a chance to clarify, okay?
Right Honorable Speaker, medical tourism, as it has become a coinage, we were told that with the construction of Lubowa Specialized Hospital, this medical tourism would come to an end. That promise has since become a shadow of its former past. And yet each year we have been injecting money. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to remind colleagues, because these are not my figures, yeah, about how much money we have so far injected in Lubowa Specialized Hospital. So far, it is 113 billion shillings. So far. What is there to see? Your guess is as good as mine. 113 billion shillings. Let me break it down. 2021, there was a 21.6 billion, another 21.9 billion. Again, in 2021, that was September, 22.5 billion shillings. In 2022, there was 23 billion. Again, in April of 2022, 23.8 billion. When you total that up, that's 113 billion shillings. That's money that has gone. Where is Lubowa Hospital? At the end of last year, part of the supplementary that the minister brought was 2.7 billion shillings to supervise ongoing works at Lubowa Hospital. We demand that government accounts for this money because this is not little money. It could have done a lot more. It could have built health centers and so on. It seems to be disappearing in thin air. Right Honorable Speaker, we demand that government accounts for this 113 billion shillings. Plus, of course, the 2.7 billion that was deployed to supervise. Let me talk a bit about our men and women in uniform. Firstly, Defense UPDF. It's good our colleagues are here. Honorable Sebuji was saying they're listening posts. We shall want them to probably respond. Anyway, we have a challenge, right, Honorable Speaker and members. Our men and women in uniform, UPDF, police, of course, prisons, they live like refugees in their country. And yet they hold guns. We expect them to serve the country. But just look at the conditions under which they live. Look at how much they earn. Right Honorable Speaker, the lowest rank in the UPDF earns less than 400,000 shillings. And these are the majority of them. And we expect them to watch over you and I and our nation. In police, a special police constable, who is the lowest, currently earns 325,000 shillings. They go to the same supermarkets or same markets or same, shopping places like everybody else. They take their children to the same schools like everybody else. But how? How does this make sense? Right Honorable Speaker, for police, there is even a mandatory deduction towards the Exodus Police Circle, which savings they cannot freely access. I'm sure many of them have approached you members because they cannot speak on their own. They will be taken to court-martial, whatever the case might be. So even their savings, which are deducted mandatorily, they cannot access them easily. Right Honorable Speaker, we need to pay attention to these men and women in uniform. They are our brothers, our sisters, our wives, our husbands, our mothers, our fathers. They are part of us. They are us. Right Honorable Speaker, of late there has been a challenge with the roads in Kampala. Just like is the case with many other parts of the country, but there has been quite a bit of focus on Kampala, capital city. This our city generates about 60% of our country's pass. About 60%. We keep milking this cow, but we don't want to feed it. I don't understand why. Of recent, a few roads were constructed, NAM roads as they called them, But the rest of the roads in Kampala are in a shambolic state. I don't know why we do not want to pay attention to these roads in Kampala, where we operate from, where all of us stay. On the weekends, yes, people go to their constituencies, but this is the heart of the country. Can we pay attention to this matter? And then demand for proper accountability from KCCA. When I was still chairperson of COSASA, I did present a report, and there were issues to do with the costings of the road, cost per kilometer. There are issues which need to be remedied. But we need to pay attention to the roads in Kampala. Let's not wait for people to protest, and then you hear people saying, let's go and arrest them, we are going to deploy resources to arrest them, and so on. Deploy those resources to fix the challenge that people are grappling with. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Lop. Honorable Ndezi, Honorable Ndezi, just wait a bit for us not to lose focus. Let Honorable Peter Gwang make the clarification he wanted to make on the issue of stadium.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues. First of all, I want in a special way to welcome the leader of opposition, who is a friend. I only want to implore him and the office that the people in his office should help the institution of parliament, because the office is holding is a very big office. No wonder we call him the Right Honorable Leader of Opposition. Fast forward. For the record, the NRM government, under the leadership of Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, is pledged and is going to construct a stadium in Akibwa and Buhinga. That for the record. Number two, Right Honorable Speaker, I am aware that there's a report of this committee which is going to be presented. Right Honorable Speaker, the Minister of Education and Sports has a plan for the infrastructure development of sports facilities across the country. Now, to come to the question of a stadium, or I could call it a field, built in Kenya vis-a-vis stadium. First of all, there's a difference. When I talk about Akibwa Stadium and Buhinga, the question was...
Let me guide. Honorable colleagues, when you ask for clarification once, twice, you don't insist. Doesn't. You know the member has heard you, but has politely declined. So you also politely sit. Okay? Yeah, you don't insist.
Madam
Please
Speaker,
continue.
Right Honorable Speaker, I'm talking about Akibwa and Buhinga Stadium. First of all, there was a feasibility study done for the construction of a stadium in Buhinga, which gave us a total amount of about $48 million. It's for multi-sport, and when I talk about multi-sport, I talk about very many disciplines of sports within that stadium. Number two, it was within that design that we have a hotel, a 5-star hotel, for purpose of promoting tourism in that part of the country. It was within the design of the construction of that stadium. So when we begin to compare a field with a stadium, it really takes us to a certain area, which, in my considered opinion, I don't want to dwell much on it. So that's why I'm only imploring my brother, a good friend, Lop, that Right Honorable Speaker, I can even bring the entire plan and I lay it on table so that we are able to look at it in detail. So that you don't say, we are here to try to loot the country. No, we have come from far. Right Honorable Leader of Opposition, I thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Ndezi.
Right Honorable Speaker and all members. You may recall that we reconstituted standing committees a few days ago. This is the first report we are receiving from the reconstituted standing committee called the Budgetary Committee. Mr. Speaker, allow me to use this opportunity to congratulate my brother, Hon. Patrick Sergi, upon reappointment to the leadership of this committee. equally, Honorable Speaker, I must congratulate the Deputy Chairperson of the committee, my brother Oromijio Achi, upon appointment to the leadership of this committee. Honorable Speaker, I read both the minority and the main report. Having read both, I also looked at the provisions of the Constitution. Honorable Speaker and all members, it is important to note that the Constitution imposes certain disadvantages, certain restrictions on Parliament in terms of resource allocation. This is not a wish, but a matter of fact. For instance, Parliament is not supposed to proceed on a motion which has the effect of imposing a charge on the consolidated fund unless the motion is moved by the President or someone acting on behalf of the President. When I was still a young MP, I wondered why this Constitution puts us at a disadvantage. But somebody told me, look here, the objective of the Constitution is to make sure that the ruling party in power is able to implement its manifesto. Able to implement its manifesto and also be able to be held accountable. Means, Honorable Speaker, it is very, very hard to come around a situation whereby both the opposition and government agrees on a budget allocation on any particular year. It is a matter of compromises, of give and take. But also it is important because it gives the opportunity, it gives the opposition an opportunity to hold the government accountable. Because if you decide to participate in everything through the allocation of resources, people will say you are part and parcel of it. So, Honorable Speaker, for me, having read the two reports and bearing in mind the provisions of the Constitution, I think we should support the main report of the Budget Committee. I strongly support it. But also, it is important to take the notes from the opposition. Democracy is not about winning everything. Therefore, the self-finance should, in good faith, note the concerns raised by the opposition. But in brief, for me, I support the main report. Honorable Speaker, I have two other minor issues dear to my heart. One is the question of issuance of certificates of gender equality. The reason we advocated for the issuance of this certificate is to make sure that resource allocation promotes harmony in our society. There is the equitable allocation of opportunities. There is equitable allocation of resources. There is fairness. Because of fairness, there is peace. People are happy with each other. There is gender balance. There is also equity. Now, Honorable Speaker, I note from the report that certain ministries, departments, and agencies are not complying with the provisions of the certificate of gender equality. In constitutional terms, this means that these agencies are not in line with the provisions of Article 32 of the Constitution. They are harming the provisions of Article 32, which is on affirmative action. Affirmative action is a constitutional obligation. I therefore appeal on the Minister of Finance to ensure that sufficient resources are set aside to enable the Equal Opportunities Commission execute its constitutional mandate of ensuring that all ministries, agencies, and departments comply with the provisions regarding issuance of certificates of gender and equity. Last, Honorable Speaker, as I have mentioned, the Constitution imposes upon us the obligation to protect certain vulnerable groups in society. Under Article 32 of the Constitution, we are required to promote older persons. We are required to promote possibilities. We are required to promote young people, promote youth. This protection extends to the budget, because budgeting is itself a legislative process. The output from this process will be transmitted into an appropriation bill and later annexed to Parliament. Honorable Speaker, during the last budgeting process, we were very deeply disappointed we are very disappointed to know that the budget for older persons, the budget for poor disabilities, the budget for women, and the 2 other vulnerable groups were cut by a rate or ratio of 80%. So, Madam Speaker, the question I'm putting forward, or the prayers I'm putting forward, I want assurances from the Minister of Finance, assurances that the categories of vulnerable persons that are ring-fenced by the Constitution are properly ring-fenced by this budget. For instance, the budget for SAGE, I'm told there is insufficient funding. The budget for national special grant for possibilities, there is a gap of 3 billion shillings. The budget for older persons was there is a gap of some billion shillings. I beg for assurances that these vulnerable categories are properly protected. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Honorable Babiku, followed by Honorable Kamateneti, then Honorable Kayo.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. I support the approval and adoption of the report where the plea has been made by the committee. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm concerned about the minority report on page 11 under wasteful expenditure. Allow me read this. These days, the main work at State House is organizing birthday parties and wedding ceremonies. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, as a committee that oversees State House, we have clear activities of presidency, and this is provided for under Article 98, the functions of the president and the vice are provided for. And in this process, we have never requested for support for any activity like weddings and birthday parties. So I request that this is removed from this report unless there is an evidence that we requested for support for these activities. To Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, on the same page, under list of presidential advisors, unless there is an evidence that there is an expenditure for ghost staff, we disassociate ourselves with this list, and I can cite examples. Number 37 is an ambassador deployed in China. Number 42, may the soul rest in peace, this person has died. Number 44, also this person died. And we don't have evidence for ghost expenditure under salary. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I join the committee in the recommendation to support recruitment of health workers right from the national level. Right Honorable Speaker, as we commend the government for the various structures established, we have challenges of shortage. From Mulago up to the health units at district level. Therefore, I request that we support that proposal. But also to Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, we have issues of dilapidated structures under Ministry of Health. At district level, I can cite an example of a Jumani district health facility where there is a lot of leakage, and therefore I request that Ministry of Health be supported to renovate some of these health units. I'm also concerned about over-delayance in delivery of drugs Right Honorable Speaker, I request that the Committee on Health should do an investigation, because each time I reach Ajuman district, there are complaints about non-delivery of drugs, and yet we receive regular messages from Ministry of Health notifying honorable members of Parliament on delivery and dispatch of drugs. So we need a proper state, but in the report, there is a request to facilitate a faster delivery. But therefore, since the informations are not tallying, let the Committee on Health do a monitoring and a report so that we get to know whether our Ministry of Health sends for us rightful information or not. On the issues, okay, thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues.
Thank you. Colleagues, we must finish this debate by 6. Honorable Kamatenet, then
Thank you.
Honorable Kayo, then Dr. Yonga.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Mine is on vote 016 about road equipment for new districts and cities. Ministry of Works is planning to procure road equipment for new districts, but they are old districts which don't even have road equipment. I can give an example of Ntungamo district. Mbarara district, we have Kanungu, we have, in my district, we have over 2,221 kilometers. And we have to borrow the road equipment from our neighbors. Our roads are impassable. So I think before you approve this budget, make plans and make sure we add in equipment for all the districts which are stranded. Another one is about health sector. Colleagues, we need to put our priorities right. You're talking about regional hospitals. I've not seen Mbarara Hospital. We even have districts which are so big. For example, my district serves a population of over 650,000 people. And we have only one hospital which does not have a standby generator. We don't have an X-ray. It is a highway hospital. This serves everyone in this country because people move to Rwanda, to Tanzania, from your regions, or to even Western Uganda. So as we plan, let's prioritize these hospitals because they are serving all of us. Another one is about drugs. Everyone is talking about supply of drugs. I think in budgeting, you must plan, you must do research, you must consult. Recently, we had a report about Ntungamo not using drugs worth 5 billion. These drugs were Bilharzia drugs and were used everywhere. And these are supplied by enemies. Don't use government money to buy unnecessary things and just dump them in some hospitals for accountability. You're talking about construction of new health centers. We have constructed ones already which are there. They don't have employees. There are no medical officers. We don't have drugs. We don't have equipment. This parliament is supposed to plan and direct the country. So ministries, before you bring your budgets, please consult people and plan for our people. We should not misuse resources. Lastly, this country, this parliament should serve fairness and equity. Minister of Education was here talking about lack of money for coded schools. Last year in the budget, they earmarked 46 secondary schools for grant aiding. Even up to now, the money that was released was for 46 schools. But some which were coded were removed and replaced by schools from other districts. In my district, even other people are complaining. We had 2 schools, Ngoma Secondary and Karambi Secondary schools. They were removed, they were allocated 636 million. They were removed and replaced by other 2 schools. I wouldn't wish to mention them here, but that is being unfair. So as we plan, let's plan and serve fairness and equity in this country. Otherwise, me, I will not support this as long as you don't amend and support my district and even other districts that are affected. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now, honorable colleagues, allow me to guide. Maybe I had prepared something which I could have shared with you. Because this budget framework paper we are handling is for the medium term. It's 5 years. It's 2024, 25, 2028, 29. Okay? I don't know whether those are 3 or 5. It's up to 2029. It's a framework. So now we are not on a budget. We are on a framework for the budget. Okay? Then when we go to ministerial policy statements, there we shall now be having very clear, very clear details. Now, the budget strategy for this MTEF is accelerating economic growth to at least 7% from a raw material-based to a manufacturing and knowledge-based economy, as well as improve the environment of doing business in Uganda and making it competitive with the utility goal being to build an integrated, self-sustaining and independent economy over the medium to long term. So now, looking at the policy proposals, we should be asking ourselves, how shall we achieve the objectives stated therein from a perspective of the MTEF that they've presented? 2, are the budget allocations in the framework in line to the budget strategy? Look at the budget strategy they presented, and we look at the allocations and we see whether they correct. 3, is the MTEF compliant with the Public Finance Management Act? These are the issues which we should be now. I'm trying to structure the debate so that we move very well. We don't now go to debating the ministerial policy statements. We remain within the line of the MTEF. The resource envelope. What are the proposed sources of funding? Because everyone is asking for money. Are they adequate and sustainable? Or we are supplying air? Everyone will say, give me money, give me money. We have a very good example. We usually come here. We adopt tax bills. Okay? We pass tax proposals. In those tax proposals, we reject some of the recommendations from government. But these recommendations were supposed to generate money. So now, if, for example, we refuse or we reject proposals which were supposed to generate 500 billion Uganda shillings to finance the budget, but we go ahead, we adopt the budget the way it is, it means we have supplied 500 billion air. Because we rejected the source of funding, but we've gone ahead to supply. We said, we can't give you money, but also let us supply this money. So we need, as we are looking at these funding gaps, in this budget framework paper, what is very easy for all of us to debate here are the funding gaps. But resources, can we also debate on where we can say, government, you are losing resources? In the report, they were saying, you didn't collect this money from gold. That's what we should focus on. It's a resource we believe we can correct. They are saying, if we reduce corruption, we shall save this much. That's the resource that can help us finance the budget. Then the policy proposals. Will the proposed policies lead to the targeted development that they've talked about in this MTEF? This is how we handle the budget framework paper, honorable colleagues. Honorable Keyo?
Thank you. Thank you, Right Honorable.
Just let's get something, then I are honorable Keyo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. You have rightly stated that actually what we have been presented with is just a budget framework paper. And indeed, it is a strategy for government for the budget of 2024-2025. And particularly, this just links the overall government our policies with the plans that are derived from the NDP in order to come up with a budget. Now, at this particular time, this is when all the government institutions charged with policy, planning, budgeting, performance come together so that we're able to achieve the intended objectives in line with the Public Finance Management Act. So in that regard, therefore, it is important that we listen to these strategies, and then at an appropriate time when we are going to discuss the ministerial policy statements, which contains the details of which sets out the performance and the plans of the spending institutions, for this matter, the MDAs and the LGs. That's when we can involve ourselves in these discussions. For that matter, therefore, I would like to move a motion that this House approves the National Budget Framework Paper for 2024-25 to 2024-26. I beg to move.
Well, I really pick what Honorable Repel is bringing, but there are many members who have not had a chance to make a contribution. Okay? Let us give ourselves just maximum of 1 hour. Maximum 1 hour. So, honorable colleagues, meaning you have to be considerate that there are others who want to participate. I had already picked Honorable Keyo, then Dr. Yonga, I go this side. I'll start with Jonathan Odo.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, the fisheries subsector is one area that, if properly explored, can bring a lot of money to this country. But this is an area that is never given attention to. The fisheries subsector, when you look at the agriculture sector, it is always put at the periphery, and yet it can earn this country a lot of money. So it is my humble appeal, Right Honorable Speaker, that when we are looking for sources of funding our budget, this subsector is considered and also given allocation. You find that the government gets taxes from them, but little is put in the fisheries subsector to make these people generate more funds. Right Honorable Speaker, another area that we are also likely to reap from, and Honorable Minister of Sports, I think with due respect to you, I happen to be your friend, and I also happen to be a friend of your colleague, the Minister of Sports in Kenya, and Pamoja AFCON. If we are not careful as a country, we are likely to lose out. Because what Kenya is doing and what Tanzania is doing is ahead. So I am patriotic enough, but what I'm saying, it would be embarrassing for us if we don't match at the same level with our colleagues. This is an area, Honorable Minister, I seek your indulgence. Right Honorable Speaker, protect me. I'm so patriotic that I don't want us to lose out on Pamoja AFCON. But if we don't work on our stadium, we are likely to lose out. So, Honorable Minister of Sports and the entire Parliament, it is my humble appeal that we allocate money to build this stadium and help our country host this function. It is going to bring in a lot of tourists. It is going to bring in a lot of people who are going to generate money through sale of our products. Finally, Right Honorable Speaker, inland water transport. There are accidents on water that are never highlighted. They are never highlighted. Of recent, we had an accident in Kalangala, but there are also accidents in Bukoli Islands, accidents in Uvuma, and our people are not protected. They always pronounce a lorry, a bus has had an accident, but little is mentioned when it comes to water transport. This is an area that we should also look at if we are to develop this country on affirmative action.
Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Yes, I had picked on Dr. Yonga, then I go this side. I'll come back this side later. I'll come back.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Speaker and colleagues, I've gone through vote 019 about water and environment. But when you see the allocations, most of them are going to either...
Please, can I have order in the House?
Either small towns or villages. There's no mention of cities, especially the new cities. My question is, in the coming 3 years, because this is a BFP, we want to consider the cities, because I've ever been in a meeting whereby the minister was presenting Hoima district, he didn't know that even there is a Hoima city. So I had to correct him. So I'm requesting that in the BFP, let cities also be mentioned. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, we have an issue which is mentioned here about Bunyoro University. I know this is a BFP, but this is very disturbing, especially to the communities. The task force was formed more than 1 year ago. They have been doing good work. What they did in the BFP, they are talking about the issue of land compensation and acquisition. The communities are becoming very suspicious that why is it taking long? So sometimes we fail to see what we can tell our communities. So my humble prayer is that let the establishment of Bunyoro University and other new universities be expedited. Otherwise, the communities are always harassing us, telling us that for 2026 we may not come back. I beg to submit. Thank you.
Thank you. On the opposition side, now I'm picking from opposition. Okay? And the reader is facing Nakut, is all saying yes. So I'll pick for the opposition. I'm going to pick Honorable Jonathan Odur. I'm picking Honorable Naruima Betty. And whoever is a member of the budget committee, please let me know. I'm picking Honorable Namuga, picking Honorable Mujuche, Honorable Chirumira. No, I'm still giving you a chance, Honorable colleagues. I wish we could be quick so that I pick as more. Then I again go to that.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to first and foremost inform you that I am in full support of the position of the minority, and I want to invite you to pay particular attention to the violations of the law that has been well explained in the minority report. Each year, every year we come here, we address the same concerns. I think the Ministry of Finance needs to be sanctioned so that we comply with the law. With the law, you cannot choose to implement one part of it and then use the other to defend yourself. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, when the minister chose to give some preliminary responses to the issues raised, I don't know why he chose to keep quiet on some of the recommendations that we have made. This House cannot debate in vain. There are recommendations that has the effect of widening the resource envelope, for example. It would have been nice to hear from him, looking at all the proposals made by the sectoral committee and the committee of budget. What is it that the minister can inform this House in regard to the projections in the resource envelope that he has mentioned? When I looked at the budget framework paper itself, Mr. Speaker, it points a picture of a very disjointed government, departments, agencies, and ministries. We cannot have the same government promise us their strategic objectives in the NDP, and then when you look at the budget strategy, you look at the sector allocations, it doesn't speak to that fact. If you observe agriculture, manufacturing, and even health and education, which form the core of our human resources, they have not been adequately provided for. I'm quite aware that the budget framework paper, Mr. Speaker, the last component of it gives us the proposed sector allocation. When you look at the allocations, the paper is talking about one thing, promising one thing, but also delivering in terms of the budget something else. Thirdly is the exaggerated resource envelope. If you look at the closing statements, our financial statements at the end of every year, we have never spent beyond 36 trillion shillings. The Uganda Revenue Authority, our domestic collection has been around 20. This time we think we can collect 29 or 30, and external financing has never gone beyond 6 or 7. So these justifications of exaggerating our budget to 52 trillion, Mr. Speaker, we have identified that it is a strategy to allow them exploit the supplementary window of 3%. Because if you subject 3% to 52, it means you already have somewhere assured 1.6, which they are going to use and then come here and say it is something that we allow. Maybe we have to condition the Ministry of Finance to be very careful when they are bringing their supplementaries. Lastly, in budgeting and in the framework, you need to be honest, you need to be transparent, and you need to be equitable. If we interrogate the list of these projects that the government is going to implement, many of these members of parliament would rise up in arms. This time we want you to be transparent with all the development projects, the priorities that you have listed here. Me, I am tired of being an MP year in, year out. I am here to approve a budget framework paper for some few members of parliament. Approve the budget and the ministerial policy statement for a few members. This time, Mr. Speaker, help us to audit. All constituencies in Uganda contribute taxes. They deserve schools, they deserve health centers, they deserve roads. So this thing of going to one, this time I'm going to come with a big motion, and I will identify each and every project and the last 5 years why only 1 or 2 constituencies have been benefiting. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. That's has given you notice. So don't say he didn't warn us. Yes, Honorable Narima. Yeah, we can be quick so that we allow more colleagues to contribute.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, my additions and inquiries to the Ministry of Finance as it came on board to clarify some matters. We wish to know why didn't it clarify on the matters of compliance. In the Marine report, it was clear and it was reported that there was no quantifiable estimation given. And under that's under 2.2, where the committee is reporting that there was no compliance as per Schedule 3 of the PFMA. We are also seeing a report to us that there was also under 2.4, the Charter of Fiscal Compliance was not responded to. So could we have those clarifications as the ministry is reporting? And finally, concerning the local government sector and public service, as the committee was reporting, the committee, we gave them several issues. And when we talk about compliance and ways of ensuring that we increase the fiscal feasibility in this country, matters of local governments are key. If in the request we put as Committee of Local Government and Public Service, we put forward several issues that can aid this country to have a better service delivery mode. Matters of issues of ensuring that our local leaders out there are well inducted. Now we are talking about 5 years. We are talking about the year 24-25 to the year 28-29. But not anywhere was it incorporated. When we talk about the infrastructure of local governments, nothing was catered for and was captured, and many other issues. So, in summary, Mr. Speaker, I'm requesting once again that the matters that were put forward by the Committee of Public Service and Local Government that urgently need to be incorporated and taken care of within the next 2 years, or as urgent as in the next budget, let them be incorporated in the budget framework paper such that local governments can deliver better in this country. I beg to submit.
Thank you. I had already picked on Onamuga.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I'm in support of the minority report in regard to this budget. One, Right Honorable Speaker, the issue of unrealistic budgeting, especially on the side of revenues. And I think this is the very reason as to why in every financial year, we find that there are so many projects that are not implemented. So many projects. And the same is happening this very financial year. So, Right Honorable Speaker, the Minister of Finance should be realistic when giving us some of these figures. Otherwise, I still submit that the budget figures that are provided are very unrealistic on the side of revenues and the resource envelope. Right Honorable Speaker, the investment profile of this country. There is a very big difference between the National Development Plan and what we indicate in our budget framework paper. So I would implore the Minister of Finance, kindly respect these national development plans that we make. There is a very big variance between our plans and our budgets. The other thing is about borrowing. Right Honorable Speaker, it's not that we don't support borrowing, but can the Minister of Finance explain why we have 14.5 trillion under undisbursed loans? Can he also explain why government of Uganda in the financial year 22-23 borrowed money close to $739 million to support recurrent expenditure, payment of salaries and these others. So it's not that borrowing is bad, but the investment. We invest money in non-productive sectors. So kindly invest our resources in areas that are productive. Right Honorable Speaker, we have a challenge in costing of government projects. We include projects in these plans that are not costed. That is why you find variances between output and planning. So we should employ our agencies to ensure that every time we do these plans, at least we have a basis for why we include some of these figures. Right Honorable Speaker, they've just amended the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Act. I want us to interest ourselves in that act that has just been, the regulations that have just been amended. There are so many issues that have been put there, but procurement has become a challenge. Not that the cadres are a problem, but also this political influence. You saw the issues of the Mabati, where we have blue notes from the ministers, from the president to officers. Can we start respecting institutions of government such that we can discipline officers who have not executed on their mandate? Right Honorable Speakers, we should respect institutions of government. Lastly, Right Honorable Speaker, the issue of domestic areas. Every year, these accumulate, and at a very high rate. What is being done on accounting officers that always accumulate areas? What has the Minister of Finance done in the line of efficiency and effectiveness in public expenditure? The Minister of Finance is #1 in failing to follow the Charter of Fiscal Responsibility when it comes to planning. So for me, in future, I would move that Honorable Msasi and his colleagues are put to order in regard to failure to comply to your own Charter of Fiscal Responsibility, financial indiscipline, especially within the Ministry of Finance. This thing of supplementary budget, every year we have supplementary budgets here, and he's the one who used to always come here and say, we shall never have a supplementary budget. Then the next year comes, you are the one to come to this place. So Honorable Msasi and the colleagues should be put to order to know that they should respect Ugandans when it comes to budgeting. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Now, you squeeze Honorable Msasi after you thank me. I'm not the one who deployed her, Honorable. This was yes. I'm still on opposition side, please. Yes. Honorable Mwijite, Honorable Chirumira, Honorable Aisha, Honorable Kupa, Honorable Mpuga, Honorable Santa, Honorable Chivumbi. Then I go back.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you for this opportunity.
Now, just let me ask, we are still here. I don't know why people are rushing to speak first. Are you going somewhere? You want to abandon me here? So be patient, we are still here. The answer is clear, everything is still here. Even if you submit at 7, you will submit.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, we have praised the Right Honorable Cecilia Ogwar for helping when we had situations of minority report and the majority by looking into both and getting out the best. This is not a time of competition between minority and majority. I have been here for some time. I hear us pass budgets, and when you go out there, whenever citizens' priorities are not seen, they don't bash the Ministry of Finance, they bash the members of Parliament. They don't talk about the president, they don't talk about the ministers, they say, these MPs. You will find other dishes on radio saying the MPs are not prioritizing agriculture. They are not prioritizing roads, and the minister will be happy in his home. So when we talk about priorities, it is because we interact with the people down there. It is not because we are government or we are opposition. It is because we are representatives of members of parliament. Because how do I explain that I have a road that was pledged in 1989 and it is never worked on, but I am passing budgets every financial year? How do I go to Buhari and explain that? Because the priorities are not being set by us, parliament. They are being set somewhere, and for us, we have to just approve. And then when we go there, they say they are the appropriators. You even find the minister telling the public that it is these MPs that are the appropriators. So, Honorable Minister, please listen to us. It's not because we are against anybody. And that's why I would wish that we look at the minority report and the majority report and we get out the best for our people. It's not about the competition of the two ideas and the two reports. And that's why we were talking about Cecilia Ogwar. Now we have even forgotten about what she was doing here, even before a week. Of course, for you, a listening post. So I know you will not talk about UPDF. So, but the point I'm making is, we are the eyes and ears of our people, and therefore, let's look at these reports and get out the best for our people. And that's the point I'm making. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Mujicha. Honorable Chirumira.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, one of the major goals of the BFP is to accelerate economic growth, and that is increasing the quantitative output of our country. My biggest concern is on the drivers of our economic growth. Because if you look on top of the list, we have the parish development model. And the big focus here is that they are telling us investing money in the parish development model will quickly transform our economy. And that's where I find the problem, especially when I go back to the 7 pillars that we are given. Right now, the big focus is on 2 pillars: mindset change and financial literacy. And that's how they are grouping people into circles. And the Ministry of Finance is telling us that the biggest driver of our economy and transforming the people of Uganda is parish development model. And that's where I want to differ, that our level of investment into any sector should be dependent on the return to investment. We have so many options as a country where we could put money and get a better return to investment, and that's where we need to focus. There is a total mismatch in terms of investment expenditure and return to investment. And then the other issue, Right Honorable Speaker, I moved a minority report last year, and the focus was on these debts that we keep accumulating. My prayer was for the Ministry of Finance to provide the financing options at this particular stage, precisely indicating to us where is our country going to borrow money. What are the terms and conditions of these money lenders? Because if we do not do that at this stage, we're going to find ourselves in a position of the Amarok, the one that was rejected previously. We're going to find ourselves in a position of going to Standard Chartered, that organized group of lenders that we are supposed to borrow money from. Our country paid money, expecting to get money, and the money never came. We suffered a loss as a country because we lacked planning. And that's why I'm urging government, when we are doing this budget process, especially at this stage, it is paramount for us to know the source of the money. It's true, we all agree that we have to borrow, because if you look at our budget, 22% has to be debt. But please be precise to the country. Tell us, where are we going to borrow? what are the terms, what are the conditions of these money lenders, so that we put ourselves in a better position running our country. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Aisha, then Honorable Cooper.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Chair. I want to thank the Budget Committee. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg your pardon, for the two reports. In relation to the conclusion, I speak on ground of the conclusion of the minority report, where he said that if the report cannot be thrown out because of the irregularities, then it should be amended accordingly. And that's the ground that informs my submission. Honorable Speaker, the Minister was short of informing us, which was a question in the minority report, what led to the decreased revenue expectations, while revenue collection increased even around time COVID period, but this time increase in revenue collection is significantly low. That answer was not submitted to us. Not to ever overemphasize, but just to amplify the need for getting the sources of date. Failure to submit sources of date is supplying air, because I am sure by this time, finance exactly knows where they are going to borrow this money from, but they are not disclosing. Suppose they come and make proposals here and Parliament rejects, so we need to know the sources. But most importantly, on page 62 of the major report, there is a request to inject more money into human vaccine. I recall, Right Honorable Speaker, that previously we have injected money into science and technology, and especially in the invasion of discovery of vaccines, and we have never received any report. Year after year, we are putting money into vaccines. We have had even other countries have been able to come out with vaccines like COVID vaccines. Despite the monies that we put there, we have not been able to get anything. The report talks of retooling. I'm actually dismayed that the report talks of retooling external security organization offices, while the report defers retooling of teachers, especially at this time when we go into the new curriculum. Right Honorable Speaker, many of our teachers, especially those of us that come from rural areas, actually some teachers have given up because they say what they don't understand what they are teaching. Teachers have not been retooled, the new curriculum is on. Besides, the students are required to go and do their own research. But in schools, there is no electricity. In schools, there are no computers. We require that their parents will buy the laptops probably, but we know many parents are unable. Some internet, I'm told, is expensive, we know that. Some parents are risking giving their children phones to be able to do research, but we know all the risk of a phone to a child because they are tempted into going into social media. This budget does not speak to that. And Right Honorable Speaker, page 73, we talk about solving.
Yeah.
As I conclude, let me conclude that point, just that point.
But you've allocated yourself more time. You say, no, you can't switch on for more time before you're given permission. Just conclude, Honorable.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Page 73 talks about helping being able to stop early pregnancies to girls. The report talks about the figures of girls that have become pregnant and say in order to address this, then they talk about skilling. These are two different things. The problem spoken about, the objective is different from the cure. When you talk about skilling the pregnant girls, that does not solve the problem of other girls being pregnant. So I find the objective and the solution communicating two different things. Thank you, Chair. I rest it at that.
Thank you. Honorable Cooper, then Honorable Mpuga, Honorable Santa, Honorable Chivumbi. And then again go back.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, let me start from the revenue aspect of it, the domestic revenue sources. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to bring to the attention of the Minister of Finance that he should interest himself in the leakages in Uganda Revenue Authority, especially in the taxation of gold. Mr. Speaker, last year, towards the end of last year, November, December, a staff of URA who was able to unearth the fraud, the tax avoidance, people are not paying taxes on gold, and it happens to come from my place. When she raised that matter, she was found herself dismissed from Uganda Revenue Authority. A month later, she found herself sick. We have flown her to Nairobi. What has been found out, she was poisoned. I don't know whether there's a connection with dealing with those who are involved in that scandal. Right Honorable Speaker, when we were having the Cisco conference in Munyonyo, a young man approached me. I didn't know where he came from, but later on introduced himself to me. He says they came from UK, but originally his parents come from Guinea. And they were here together with another businessman from Dubai. They were received at the airport by police, led to an office in Entebbe, where they were shown the gold plate, gold tablets, and they told to pay. They paid $62,000 US. They were delivered to stay in Munyonyo. 2 days, the people disappeared. As they were flying back, they were communicating. They said, "We shall find you at the airport. We shall deliver." By the time of boarding, they were nowhere to be seen. So he said, I need your help. We are now stuck here. These are the contacts of the people. But what was shocking, using my friends whom I know on the other side, I say, please, where does this number lead to? The answer I got was, Honorable Okupa, if you want your life, don't follow these things. Don't follow it. You will die. So that's the risk involved in that, because the people who are involved in it, I don't know. So, Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Minister, since you have the machinery, please investigate the issues of gold tax revenues, unless possibly you also want to fear your life. But I know because you, yeah, there's a lot of leakage, we're losing a lot of revenue in people who are involved in the gold dealings in this country. So, Right Honorable Speaker, the Minister should pick interest in this. 2, Honorable Speaker, the matter I raised here about grant aiding, 2022-2023, we had schools that were approved here for grant aiding. Later, Minister of Finance and Education came that they don't have the money. They say we shall do it the following year. 23-24, we again put, and we appropriated the money. But to date, we should be thinking about those students, those pupils, because the parents, once the list was published in the New Vision, they pulled back. The government has taken over. What is the fate of these children today after hearing from what the Minister of Education said and the Minister of Finance? We appropriated money. Can the Minister of Finance and Education confirm to the parents who come from those areas, where those schools, that this year there won't be any money? They should just continue paying for the teachers, for the services. Because otherwise, without that, I don't know where the schools will close. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I want to appeal to the Minister to follow that matter up. Equal Opportunities Commission published a damning report, so an indictment to government about the distribution of services, jobs in this country. Honorable Minister, as you work on the budget framework paper, please can you take that into consideration, such that we don't see that reoccur in this country. We all belong to this country. We all pay taxes. So please take note of that and incorporate it when you are doing the budget framework paper in the allocation of resources. Finally, Right Honorable Speaker, is on the issue of the infrastructure. I cannot conclude without saying, please, Kumi Serere Kasilo Kagwara Road. The President promised us in 2011, 2016, 2021, We don't want it to say the same thing in 2026 campaign. We even made a letter in 2022, the blue letters, putting that road, the one of Soroti, Serere, Pingire, Mulondo, Garama, the one of Ochero. I'm happy for the one of Ochero, Kaberemaido Ochero. We passed the loan here. But those are the tools. Those are the few roads on the eastern part of the Greater North Road. If you started from Jinja up to Soroti, how many roads on the eastern, on the left-hand side of the road? How many are tarmac? It's only one, the one of 3. So please, help us to sort that matter such that we can.
Thank you, Honorable Cooper. Honorable Mpuga.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I was here when the Minister laid the BFP, and we exchanged presentaries, including an advisor to him, to this time around follow the law, and he promised to follow the law. 2 things are outstanding. First of all, I've been trying to understand whether the Minister came here when I was away and announced a migration from program-based budgeting to sector-based budgeting. Because I really miss the House, and I've never heard of that. A lot of the alignment of the BFP speaks to sectors. The programs are vanishing progressively, Madam Speaker. Relatedly, in the financial year 2021-2022, we questioned the absence of an evaluation framework for the program-based budgeting, and there was the promise that it was being developed. But Honorable Speaker, none of these programs, as far as I recollect, has been evaluated. I suspect the reason why the Minister is running away from the programs to return to the known path of sectors. Will the Minister clarify whether we are using both now, and we moved back to using both the new and old, that Parliament can understand how best to work with the Minister of Finance? Honorable Speaker, I informed the Minister then that there was a problem because he was making several announcements to prepare us to debate the BFP, including a plethora of tax measures and revenue expectations. Then I was asking him, then are you moving to amend the Charter of Fiscal Responsibility? The Minister said no. The 2 reports speak to the lack of sync between the Charter, the BFP, and NDP3. The Honourable Minister should understand that in this, there's nobody to defeat, so nobody should be on the defensive. If you have moved like your response in a brief communicated to announce tax measures, you have revenue anticipations hitherto not anticipated, it means it alters your revenue expectations, and therefore it changes in a way the Charter. In Regulation 3 of the PFM regulations, you're allowed to amend and come on the floor of Parliament and inform Parliament. There's no crime in that. The law allows you to do that. So why are you moving in the corners when you have the entire law allowing you to come and say, we are moving, we are amending the Charter, and therefore there are new areas that we have discovered, there are new revenue sources, and you see, Honourable Minister, this then will help you not to be explaining yourself every day. Honourable Speaker, we made the Charter 2 years ago, but the Minister has never brought to the House a public debt management framework. That is why members are debating whether the public debt rhymes with the promises in the Charter. The law requires of the Minister next month, Right Honourable Speaker, to report to Parliament on the performance of the economy. Will you stop him from reporting until he has laid a public debt management framework? Because the public debt is a huge scare to the country. If this government were a head of a family, they would mortgage even padlocks in the house. You need to tell us how you're going to manage the. We've got to get an understanding of how you want to manage the public debt in the medium term. Otherwise, without a public debt management framework in place, we are grappling in the dark, right, Honourable Speaker. Yet the law demands of the minister to lay it immediately after laying the Charter of Fiscal Responsibility. Right, Honourable Speaker, lastly, I implore the minister to come clean on revenue sources that they are debated. How I wish you had made those proposals here so that the Budget Committee and the House debate your proposals so that the figures that will come. I have heard the presiding officers complain about debating tax measures last. Then we fig it with the figures. If your tax measures would come at this stage, then we would have a beautiful conversation about their possibility, their efficacy, and how they rhyme with their proposals, Minister. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. Honourable Mpuga, you've raised the issue of program-based versus sector-based. And this is an issue which I raised when the report was being presented here. I raised it seriously because now I could see the budget framework paper was presented to us in form of program-based, 20 programs. But then the report is in sector. Okay? So, and at that time, we also found a challenge with our committees, how our committees are formulated, and I assigned the Committee on Rules to study this issue and advise us within 3 weeks, so that we can say we are not blamed, we are not the ones who are blamed, but also the minister committed that after they will realign, they will consolidate and realign the budget back to the program base, because they say for them, they presented according to programs. We processed. No, they said for them they presented according to programs. We, Parliament, processed according to sectors. Okay? So, and the dilemma of the chairman, Budget Committee could also see when he's receiving reports from sectoral committees, not program committees, but sectoral committees. So we still have a lot to do to harmonize, to ensure we all, both of us, finance and our Parliament, we have to harmonize on this after this budgeting process. Please, Honourable, let's move. Honourable Santa, I'm not around any procedure, order, information. I'm now on debate. We don't have much time. Honourable Santa, and then Honourable Chivumbi. I read the names. I don't know why the rest keep standing up. Until I finish these ones, I can't pick anyone else.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Right Honourable Speaker, we are discussing the budget framework paper, which I want to believe that is a plan right from the bottom. But Right Honourable Speaker, as long as we go on planning and then we don't follow, this Parliament every year appropriates the money. But when it comes to release, it's a different issue. I'm cognizant of the fact that we have a limited resource envelope. My question to you, the Minister in charge of Finance, just at the start of this session, there was a question about the money for the roads. We budgeted, we appropriated, but we don't have money released for this quarter. And you said it will come this February. How much money will come? Is it per what we appropriated or what? Because, Right Honourable Speaker, the issue of the roads affects each one of us in this house, affects everybody out there, whether a child, a woman, belonging to which political party or religion, we need the roads. Two, Right Honourable Speaker, when you look at the budget framework paper, the report from the committee, we have only achieved 17% of the National Development Framework, National NDP 3, only 17%. And we are planning, we are budgeting. And the poverty is increasing. And our debt burden to GDP has also increased. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to ask the Minister in charge of planning, aware that we have limited resource, which way are we moving? Let me end by talking about the revenue of this country. We have projects which are under-implemented. We pass money here, but as if due diligence of most of these projects were not done. Can that be a source of our revenue? 2, domestic borrowing, where you are not paying people who have provided services to the government, and yet they are employing so many people. And these people, when the businesses collapse, that means that we have a challenge in our economy. So I wanted to hear the plans that you have, more especially for these people. I want to thank you, Right Honorable.
Thank you, Honorable Chivumbi.
Right Honorable Speaker, thank you for this opportunity. And I'll go to page 47 of the main report. Right Honorable Speaker, we have spoken about areas, but let's go where it touches the common man. This government has areas of pension of 316 billion. We are all potential pensioners at a given time. The last thing you want to do is to have your pension not paid. And can we make an appeal that as they come with the ministerial policy statement, they look for ways and money for the pensioners. We of 3.7. This government have looked at that page. I don't want to go into that detail of that page. They can't pay for utilities. They cannot pay for rent. But most importantly, we have just assumed the presidency of NAM and GIWAT 27. But we are 77. But we are areas of contribution to international organizations of 113 billion. And we are presidents as a international bodies. This ashames the country, whereby those organizations you are ejected because you can't participate. We are saying for all organizations where we feel they are not important, it is high time we get out. We withdraw formally. Or else, let us be distant to find money to pay for our obligation. It is a shame for a speaker to arrive at an international conference and you are told you cannot attend because your country has not contributed. This can be avoided. Can we task the Minister of Finance not to come up with the ministerial policy without providing money for these kind of things? I've seen here taxes and you are talking about revenue, but you have areas of taxes and other deductions. Let me ask the minister, what do you deduct and you don't pay? Where does the money go? So I want to rest that case, but also for the record, the budget tell us you cannot compound 5 trillion and you compound it in minutes. In others, can't you break down the 5 trillion? Say these are the expenses. That is a lot of money. The last contribution I'll make is on the big elephant in this house, in the room. Right Honorable Speaker, maybe we need to spare time and fundamentally speak about this thing called debt. Because as we speak now and you look at the resource envelope, as we are for more schools, the discretionary expenditure is going to reduce by a whopping 4 trillion from 25 to 21. This is money that government had to spend this financial year. Next year, that money is not available. But what is increasing? We are going to be debt refinancing more by a whopping 9 trillion. Interest is going to increase on our debt, domestic debt, by a whopping 1 trillion. And going forward, if we continue like this, we are a country that is going to go the way of Sri Lanka. We are on the verge of being blacklisted as a country. Is it not high time that Parliament and the government, Ministry of Finance, have engaged them while I was a shadow minister? They don't have, it is high time we sit and change the way we behave. If we don't, as a country, we have fundamentally mortgaged this country to a levels we cannot imagine. Therefore, I want to invite the Minister of Finance, or you, the Speaker, find space and time, and we crack the animal called national debt and the way we are borrowing. Otherwise, we are in a deep hole. I thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Chivumbe, that's an issue I think we should give time, because when Minister of Finance says our debt is sustainable, it is an issue which we can come here and debate. Okay? Yeah, and they give the arguments where they base themselves. Because I've been interacting with speakers from other countries, surprisingly, when they look at our debt, they say ours is sustainable compared to theirs. You meet speakers from Southern Africa, from the SADC. So these are issues I think we have to look at. And really, the Committee on National Economy, let the Committee on National Economy make an assessment, bring a report, and we debate that report here. Okay? So Committee on National Economy, I'm giving you 1 month to report on this issue of national debt, and we have a thorough debate as we go into the budgeting process. Now, Chair Budget, Chair Budget, 2 things. 1, pension is a statutory obligation. Whenever we are budgeting, you tell us this is statutory, salaries, pension. How can we say we have areas of pension? When it's a statutory obligation, then we are breaking the law as a parliament. So in this coming budget, let us ensure that as a parliament, we put money for pension as a statutory obligation. Because that's what the law requires us. And the Minister for Finance has been coming and showing us this money you can't touch, it's a statutory obligation. Pension is non-debatable. It shouldn't be about choices. No. On the issue of utilities, honorable colleagues, and honorable Minister for Finance, we can agree. Like on the issue of utilities, I think this is about an implementation strategy. We can sort it out this way. Entities are given money for utilities, they don't pay. And yet they know they can't run without water, without electricity, then they come to blackmail government. Can't we agree that you deduct this money at source and you give to national water? You pay for electricity. Reason being, honorable colleagues, money which we've been, for example, paying national water is the money which is being used for SCAP and other programs. So if you deduct it and you pay it, you deduct it at source, you give it to national water quarterly. It implements water projects in the country. What are you losing? Instead of giving it to entities and then they go to pay attendance allowances for their meetings and workshops, deduct money for utilities at source because you provide as finance, but they divert it. This should be an budget management process. Chair, budget, you wanted to say? Because really...
Right, Honorable Sancho and colleagues, the issue of deducting at source is not practical because we supply the money to these votes. Now, there is no way an entity has a right to divert this money unless finance treasury is asleep, because this money is paid according to the budgeted lines. So in the past, the former PSST put a ban and protected these monies and ensured each entity must control their utility bills and have the utility bills budgeted for, and the funds are released as protected items. And as such, you must pay only when you are paying to that utility supplier. And once the money, the entities don't pay like ministry pay via elsewhere, they make payments via finance. So it's only finance who is asleep. And the Right Honorable and colleagues, another issue we take note of when we discuss domestic areas, by now we should not even be having it at all, because government instituted a commitment control system whereby each accounting officer, before you make a commitment, expenditure is recognized at a time of placing an order. And you only place an order if funds are available. Now, colleagues, where trouble comes, would now condemn the accounting officers. But you remember that in the policy statements, the accounting officers provide worker plans. So pegged to the money, costed worker plans, and we approve that monies. So the accounting officers go ahead, according to their worker plans and their budgets, to go ahead to commit, knowing they have the funds in their budget. Now, at the end of the day, finance doesn't release the money. But we go back again to finance as far as expertise is concerned, because one of the issues as per Schedule 3 is assessing the financial risks. The experts in finance assess financial risk assessment and monitor, do evaluation, and put steps to mitigate the risk. The risk in terms of public finance could be shocks to the systems which will cause a shock, say, to revenue. So if there is a shock to revenue, by the time it occurs, if our experts are really working, they should have already taken steps to get the solutions to mitigate that.
Switch on, Chair. Yeah.
So colleagues, on that same, we now find ourselves in a cycle because somebody is not doing his work. That's where we are.
Thank you. Honorable Mero, Obiga Rose, Okot Boniface, Nakut Face.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I join the rest of my colleagues to support this budget framework paper. However, I have some few issues that I would like to seek clarification on. Right Honorable Speaker, we have been extending the terms of the LOC1. I don't know whether we are not in any way disenfranchising the people from voting their leaders after their term has expired. And even when we look at this budget framework paper, there's nothing provided for that. And we have kept on pushing this ahead. Right Honorable Speaker, the issue of the districts which have been occupied by the cities, I have not seen money provided for this. I don't know what we are going to do, because many of the cities have occupied the premises of the districts, and as we talk, they do not allow even the districts to be operating within the same premises before they get their new home. Right Honorable Speaker, we have a big challenge of pension and gratuity. These people who are pensioners have been working and they were earning money. I don't know why government cannot know that these people have offered a service and that at the time when they retire, they should be paid automatically like other countries. In Kenya, where we did a benchmark trip, the government decentralized, and after decentralizing, everybody knows the retirement date of the workers. And therefore, by the next coming month, when someone is retired, he's entitled to his pension. Why are we not implementing this? When are we going to amend the Public Service Act so that we can have these pensions handled the right way? Right Honorable Speaker, it is very bad for people to work, and then when they retire from work, they fight to earn what is entitled to them. Some people die, some people are in Kampala here, some people's names disappear from the districts and they're appearing from somewhere and the money gets to wrong accounts. I think we need to look into this very carefully. And then the other thing, Right Honorable Speaker, this report that we are debating, you have guided on the issue of program budgeting vis-a-vis the sector budgeting. Right Honorable Speaker, I don't know whether we are proceeding right if we are going to keep introducing new projects without
Thank you, Honorable Boniface.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the committee for the report. Right Honorable Speaker, Parliament is a house of records. And I'm very concerned because when I read the National Budget Framework paper, I noticed that Table 3 on which is about equity, responsiveness, gender and equity responsiveness. I've noticed that the figures that are captured there are mathematically inaccurate. Right Honorable Speaker, you'll notice that on that Table 3, the average figure of 54% for the financial year 24-25 is not correct. The correct one is 57.56. Last year I raised a similar matter, Right Honorable Speaker.
And what is your source when you say the figure is not correct?
Right Honorable Speaker, last year when I raised a similar matter, you guided that the chair of budget committee should sit with myself and we made a computation, and indeed the figures were inaccurate last year. He admitted to the House. This year again, the figures are inaccurate. Right Honorable Speaker.
You want another meeting?
Right Honorable Speaker, I also need your guidance. Because if we are proceeding with figures that are inaccurate all the time, I really seek from you whether we are proceeding well and whether we should adopt this framework paper with the wrong figures. Secondly,
can we first sort that? Let's first sort that. I'll allow you more time. Chair, budget.
Thank you, Right Honorable. Table 3 is a report for gender and equity performance. We are there. This is a submission by Equal Opportunities Commission. In their survey, this is what they came up with. So we don't generate this. We're only attaching for reference what came from Equal Opportunities Commission. Possibly, if you are more informed and you can support the figures you are reading, then you may not sit with the budget committee, but you have to sit with Equal Opportunities Commission and correct them if you are an authority in it. So this Equal Opportunities Commission report, Right Honorable and colleagues.
No, yeah, that's why I was asking about the source, for Honorable Is it a mathematical issue, arithmetical issue, or it's...
Right Honorable Speaker, I'm aware that this certificate of gender and equity responsiveness is a requirement, a prerequisite for us to pass this. And I've done computations on these figures for last year and this year. And I beg that these figures are not correct, Right Honorable Speaker, and it would be prudent for us as a House of Records to correct these figures, because many years down the road, we will have considered wrong figures for a requirement that is legal. It could perhaps have legal implications on the process we are pursuing at the moment.
On that one, please, my technical team, clerk, let the technical team on the technical bench help us add up all these figures and give us information which will help us to see whether indeed they are appropriate or not as we proceed. By the time we put a question, we shall have gotten advice from the technical bench. Yeah. So proceed.
Thank you, Right Honorable. Right Honorable Speaker, still on the same table, you'll notice that for 2 years running, under the program of digital transformation, we've had scores of 0% for 2 years running. Right Honorable Speaker, it is wrong for us to see a child perform poorly and we act blind. I'm requesting from government that we also get the assurance that in the next BEFP, we have this digital transformation program perform much better in terms of its gender and equity responsiveness. Finally, last financial year, 23-24, the Innovations Fund, under the Program of Innovations, Technology Development and Transfer, received zero appropriation, despite Cabinet directive to provide 500 billion shillings annually since 2019. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm quite concerned, and also I want to implore this House, that as a gift to the young people, we should ensure we allocate this 500 billion shillings towards innovations to support our young people who are currently mostly unemployed and underemployed. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable. Honorable Bigaros and Honorable Nakutfe.
Yeah, thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the Budget Committee particularly on the issue of buying road equipments for the new districts. I really wouldn't want to mince my word here. Much as colleagues are saying they're all districts and they don't have equipments, this is really not being fair to the new district. Roads of Terego have now become gullies and valleys. Let's be there for each other. I would think with the meager resources in this country, we should start with the new districts, because we can no longer borrow from the old districts. They don't want to give the equipment as if those are their personal properties. We have fuel, we cannot work on our roads. So from December, we were set to receive this new equipment. Up to now, it has gone to the budget framework paper. And I hope this time it will not be words or writings, but it will materialize. Secondly, I want to thank you on the issue of police and prisons. Honestly, we need to allocate more resources to this entity. If you go to the remand homes, you will cry. I don't know whether they are now remand homes or they have also turned into prisons. Food for prisons is not enough. Police are going through hell. Uniforms have grown so old. We really need more allocation to those entities. And then to gender, Minister of Gender, we have street children. We have been trying to rehabilitate these street children, but funding allocated is so meager. And now they go and they come back in the streets. We need to increase something in that sector. And we need to be able to give more money for recruitment of probation officers. And I hope as we put money in batches, we have not forgotten the tobacco farmers of West Nile. Honestly, if we are able to compensate Hoima region, why have you neglected West Nile? Right, Honorable Speaker, we have had several meetings with you. We have talked about this. Unless you don't want us, the MPs of West Nile, to come back. We are sitting on a time bomb. We are also part of this house. We want this issue of West Nile tobacco farmers set aside in this current budget. If not, then we'll need to...
Thank you. Honorable Nakut Face. Then I'll do Honorable Nakut Face, Honorable Mshemeza, Honorable Pamela Kamugo, Honorable Ferigo, Honorable Baba.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I'll speak on 3 issues. But before that, I wish to thank Honorable Rosso Biga for raising the matter of funding for the street children. Whoever is bursting with children, they need our support to keep those children, to rehabilitate them. The 3 issues I wish to comment on are as follows. To solve the problem of the program versus sectoral approach, I desire to see a restructuring plan from government. The impression coming out, Right Honorable Speaker, now is that Parliament is the one stopping program approach, which is not true. Right Honorable, even if committees are changed and we restructure sectoral committees, as long as the rest of government remains constant, program approach will not succeed. So a restructuring plan is very important. Last year, money was given to 2 ministries to do dams. Ministry of Water, Ministry of Agriculture, both did not deliver. And then it went to the community, and the community decided, we are saying we want Ministry of Water, another we want Ministry of Agriculture. In the end, we all lost. So the issue of program approach needs to be sorted out. If we cannot restructure and have a plan for it, then it's better to abandon it. I agree with the former loop. Secondly, the issue of the science scale, Right Honorable. I desire to see an harmonized position. This Parliament has already asked for that, because when we rolled out the enhanced science scale previously, we received a number of complaints. In some institutions, everybody became a scientist just because it is a branded science institution, even those that did not qualify. While in some institutions, scientists were not actually paid, even though they are scientists. So it's my desire that as we process the budgets, this harmonized position is there to reduce the complaints and also so that everybody is served fairly. Finally, the third one is the regional referral hospitals in our country. There are standard positions that are required in each regional referral hospital, without which there will be disasters. It's my wish that we consider regional referral hospitals. If they need a specialist anesthetist, for example, in Moroto Regional Referral Hospital, yesterday we buried a woman. The anesthesia was not provided for well. Tomorrow, Right Honorable, I'll bring to your office a matter of urgent importance on that issue. But it points to the fact that Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. The regional referral hospitals in our country need to be supported because these regional referral hospitals are the Mulago of those regions. So if they are not functioning, what are we giving the people there? Should everybody come to Mulago to be served? So let's consider those 3 issues, and I will be a very happy woman.
Thank you. Honorable Mshemeza. Just honorable colleagues do.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I would like to draw the attention of the House on what I term as unrealistic budgeting. If you look at the last 3 financial years, have we been able to raise 52 trillion? Look at the 3 sources. What URA collects, what we get in grants, and what we get in loans. Have we been able to raise 52 trillion? If we have not, what convinces us that we shall raise that money this time? I've also observed that at the end of financial year, the total budget is not actually what we initially appropriate because of the many supplementary budgets we pass. So we may be talking about 52, but at the end of the financial year, the budget is talking of 56. You see? But also this leads me to the issue of ceilings on programs which has areas that have high investment returns. Look at tourism, which we have all agreed in this country that this is an area of high investment returns. It can bring income very quickly to the economy. But the ceiling, if you look at now the budget framework paper, the ceiling is the same as this current financial year. This is where we should put more money, because most of the challenges we are mentioning are a result of low income. So how are we going to address the issues of low income so that we are able to address other issues? Unless we do that, we shall remain in an unrealistic budgeting. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Honourable colleagues, you see, when we talk on issues of, for example, revenue, a very good example, me and Honourable Peter, there is where we were, and we visited some of their sports facilities. Now, whereas our sports facilities here are demanding for money every day, the other side they are making money. But what did they do? For us, when we go to Nambole Stadium, we even appointed a board. You find people dying to sit on a board of Nambole. You have a board of Nachivubo, an entity that does not even raise how much. It has a board, and people are dying to be on it so that they can fail it completely. But what are other countries doing? Other countries, after building a stadium like Nambole, they appoint a management firm, international management firm. And this management firm, they showed me their records. They have projected in 15 years, they will have already paid the actual loan. But the economic value of what it has brought to that country within 5 years, the economic value, because these management firms are the ones which manage international conferences, international competitions, and events. So they attract them to this country, okay? And they end up making money. And the guy said, look, even the money we've made the stadium much better than how government gave it to us. But for us, Nambole, I receive calls from people robbing. You're a friend to Honourable Peter Gwang. I need to go on the board of Nambole. Nambole to do what? To kill it. You know? I lost an election. At least put me on a board of Nachivubo. Please. And you find the cabinet is spending a whole day discussing the board of Nachivubo. You cannot manage a stadium with the board. You need a professional firm. So when we are talking about some of these issues, I think in some cases my fear, which I have, you have people who have never even sold a tomato to know what it means to make money. And they are making decisions on how government should generate revenue. My friend, go in business, start a business, get a loan, go in it, try to run a store, an airtime and mobile money store. You see what it takes to generate money. It's not easy. So we must make decisions that are painful, but which will help our country. I don't know, maybe some of us, our thinking is totally different. But if for every organization you will appoint a board, I can tell you, you will never manage to generate revenue for this country. I'll pick Honorable Pamela, then Honorable Baba, then Honorable Ferigo.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity. Right Honourable Speaker, I will address myself to vote 016 on page 110, and this is Ministry of Works. Right Honourable Speaker, my question is derived from that sector about the Kampala-Jinja Express Highway. Right Honourable Speaker, I'm meant to understand that UNRA has already procured a contractor. Unfortunately, Ministry of Finance has not allocated money to compensate for compensation for right of way. Right Honourable Speaker, from Kampala to Jinja, if you're to drive, it takes almost 6 hours because of the bad road, the potholes, and the traffic. Right Honourable Speaker, I want to ask the Minister, why are you punishing us who are using that road? And all Ugandans, I must say, because I don't want to say that because I come from the eastern part of it, but the road is for all Ugandans. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to implore the Minister of Finance to find money so that we can compensate people and then we get the Kampala-Jinja Express Highway. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
That's a road that drives our economy. That's a road where you cannot talk about that you're working for Eastern Uganda. No, it's the one that drives the economy. Honorable Baba.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable members, Honorable Musasizi, the Minister of State for Finance, is on record of normally being very organized and very articulate in presenting his issues. But today I'm surprised, really surprised. Why? And he has been a chair of a substantive committee of finance in this parliament. He knows the issues members raise here and the resolutions we pass here under your chairmanship, Right Honorable Speaker, on key issues which affect each one of us as members, on key issues which affect our electorates, in water, in roads, in health, in all sectors. Sir, I would have expected that in presenting this budget framework paper, the minister speaks to the resolutions of this House relating to these subjects. People have raised issues on pensions. Former employees of East African community are dying without getting their money. This House has ever passed a resolution on those pensions. What has the minister spoken to this about this? People have cried on road equipment. Those districts which have not got them. This House has passed a resolution on this. I would have expected the minister to specifically come and say, on these issues you have raised, this is our response. What's wrong with my friend, Semuchi?
Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Baba, when he was a minister, he was speaking worse than Musasizi. As a banker bencher, he has now seen the sense. Having been a minister, speaking the same way, or even worse than Musasizi, is he in order even to complain? When in all his statements here, some we threw them out, others we complain. Is he in order, as a former Minister for Internal Affairs,
Thank you.
to begin complaining when he was speaking the same language?
Thank you. Now, Honorable colleagues, I think the record should clearly reflect. No one has said anything which we should judge him as an individual, to say this is worse, this is bad. Honorable Musasizi has only been technical. And because the technical issues are really sometimes, you know, Honorable Musasizi has to convey both good and bad news. When there is no money, he tells you there is no money. When there is money, he has already supported us, your honorable colleagues. Okay? So, really, I wouldn't want us to judge any of our colleagues to make them feel uncomfortable that what they've said is bad, is worse. So, Honorable Baba, you're presenting very well. Yeah?
Thank you.
Please proceed.
Thank you for protecting me. This Kira municipality man had better watch his words. You'll be sacked from that portfolio if you're not careful. Now, my issue really is we have passed resolutions here as Parliament, and I expected that in presenting the BFP, the minister specifically responds to them, especially to matters of concern to honorable members of Parliament. And I'm sure Honorable Musasizi can do that very, very well for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Ferigo.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I have two concerns. One is about the domestic arrears. I appreciate the explanation the Chairperson Finance gave, where we have commitment control system in place. And according to the Chairperson Finance, who was saying that commitments are made according to work plans. Right Honorable Speaker, that system does not require accounting officers to commit according to work plans. They are supposed to commit according to warrants raised by the Minister of Finance. Right Honorable Speaker, if we are not serious, and especially if the Minister of Finance is not serious, to discipline accounting officers who cause these commitments, we shall have big problems. Problem number one is where you accumulate arrears, no payments, and businesses end up collapsing. Problem number two with that, Right Honorable Speaker, is that some of these suppliers and contractors have gone to court and they are attracting negatory expenditures to government. So we need to be serious. Those who are causing commitments illegally, let them be disciplined. Then secondly is about the issue of tax leakages. Right Honorable Speaker, Honorable Cooper mentioned something about gold export tax. I am a member of Committee of COSASI. When we are examining the audit report 2021-22, Auditor General indicated that we had not collected shillings 650 billion because of not being serious on gold export tax. When we were examining that report, Right Honorable Speaker, we were surprised as committee members when the Commissioner General Uganda Revenue Authority could not be able to give serious answers why he could not collect 650 billion Uganda shillings. It indicated to us that there are some people dealing in gold export who are not paying taxes. And we are requesting, therefore, the Minister of Finance to be clear to us. You can't afford to lose 650 billion one financial year, and we are talking about under collection when it comes to Uganda Revenue Authority. So now that we are looking at the budget framework paper, it's imperative and important that the Minister of Finance, like we are talking about public debt management framework.
Conclude, Honorable.
Like public debt management framework, we should have a separate paper here to tell us how to curb issues of tax leakages. I beg to submit, Right Honorable
Thank you. Honorable colleagues, this is a framework. They are now going to prepare the ministerial policy statements where we shall have finer details. The views from all sides, from the majority report, from the minority report, from your submissions here, are issues which the Minister for Finance should take so that they guide him and the government when processing the final, both the ministerial policy statements as per sectors, but also and programs, but also coming up with the final budget estimates. Nothing you've said here, the minister should say, no, this one I don't accept, this one I agree. No, no, no. Here we are just contributing to advice to the framework he has given. So he will now go back, pick the answer, and assess. There is nothing you're submitting here that is final that would say, no, 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 no. This missed out, and therefore, the speaker not allowing me to speak, I've missed presenting this very critical issue, which is not going to be captured in the budget. No, it's a framework, and we are continuing with this. And therefore, in line with Section 9(8) of the Public Finance Management Act, we have reviewed the budget framework paper, we have debated it, and we have received reports from all sides. I now want to put the question that the budget framework paper for the financial 2024, 2025, 2028, 2029 be approved with amendments. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it. House adjourned to tomorrow at 2 p.m.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Juko. Yo. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model, PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a poultry project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
UBC, inspiring Uganda. UBC, inspiring Uganda. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
A new dawn on Behind the Headlines with me, Timothy Nyangweso. Every Wednesday, live in our studios in the heart of Kampala, we have conversations that have analysis, explanation, but not every truth is fact, and not every fact is truth. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
This week on UBC.
Did you know that our #1 value as a nation is to respect and protect the environment? With the current population increase of Uganda and industrialization, this has increased pressure on the natural resources, resulting into environmental degradation and global warming. Developing countries like Uganda could face 80% of the global climate change effects by the year 2030 if no action is taken. Join us here on UBC TV, Inspiring Uganda, on our Eco Plus program, where we bring you an in-depth analysis of issues that are disastrous to our environment. Every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m., only on your loved station, the National Broadcaster. UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
One-on-One with Michael Jordan Lukomwa.
A weekly face-to-face conversation focusing on accountability, inspiration, information, and sensitization of the public from the various sources, such as inspirational profiles.
Having a disability is not inability.
Professional guidance.
There is no special antiretroviral therapy that is given specifically for discordant couples.
And of course, politics.
Don't you see anywhere that you would give a credit in the fight against COVID?
My role as the owner of the country is not to, be preoccupied by giving credit to my servant.
We have said that if we are to talk to General Museveni, there must be certain conditions in place.
Is it true that you paid 5 million shillings to MPs that voted for Anita Monga Ntayebo?
That is laughable. Why would we pay when we have nominated them as SEC?
The Conservative Party has been represented in Uganda's parliament for 10 years. We only by one MP, you yourself, and my daughter, Susan.
Every Friday 9 p.m. it's One-on-One with Michael Jordan Lukomwa on UBC TV, inspiring Uganda.
Do you hear it? Do you see it?
In Uganda, Tanzania.
That's the sound of business in a developing economy.
For UBC News, Charlotte Amuge in Kampala.
Catch the weekly business roundup every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. only on UBC TV, inspiring Uganda.
107.3 Kampala, 96.9 Mbale, 95.7 Jinja, 98.6 Soroti. You are all covered.
UBC Mutego. UBC Mutego.
Entrepreneurs Hub, giving you a deep and unique insight into agribusiness, services, ICT, and innovation, industrialization, and so much more. Entrepreneurs Hub, growing your small, medium, and large business entity. With yours truly, Sandra Kahunde, right here on UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Well, welcome everyone to the biggest game on the continent.
And you have to, you've got to just seize those moments and enjoy them as much as you possibly can.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Hujambo mtazamaji wa UBC TV, unakaribishwa katika taarifa hii ya habari. Tunatangaza kutoka mjini Kampala. Jina langu ni Bella Masangano. Na katika habari ya kwanza, Rais Yoweri Museveni ametoa wito kwa mataifa yaliyoendelea kushirikiana na mataifa ya Afrika kwa ajili ya upatikanaji wa mabadiliko ya kijamii na kiuchumi. Ujumbe huo wa Rais Museveni ulisomwa kupitia hotuba yake iliyosomwa na Waziri Mkuu nchini Robina Nabanja kwa niaba yake wakati wa mkutano wa kilele wa Italy Africa Summit mjini Rome, Italy. Rais Museveni alisema katika hotuba hiyo kwamba kuna umuhimu wa kuzingatia uundwaji wa ushirikiano wenye kuleta suluhu. Alisema pia kwamba suluhu nyingine ambazo zinaweza kutolewa ni kama ufadhili kwa ajili ya maendeleo ya kilimo, uundwaji wa masoko kikanda na kimataifa na kueneza ujuzi wa matumizi ya teknolojia. Kwa mujibu wa hotuba hiyo, Rais Museveni alisema kwamba mkutano huo wa Italy Africa Summit ni muhimu sana katika kushirikiana kutatua changamoto ya uhaba wa chakula. Aliendelea kusema kwamba Uganda inaamini kwamba Italy itaunga mkono kwa kushirikiana na mataifa wanachama wa G77 kuondoa vikwazo vinavyokwamisha maendeleo ya Afrika, hasa kutatua changamoto ya ukosefu wa usalama wa chakula. Kamel Grib, rais wa Baraza la Ushirika la Ulaya katika masuala ya Afrika na Mashariki ya Kati, aliarifu kwamba wameamua kumtunuku Rais Museveni kwa juhudi zake katika kuibadili Uganda na Afrika kwa ujumla. Akipokea tuzo hiyo kwa niaba ya Rais Museveni, Waziri Mkuu Nabanja alisifu baraza hilo la ECAM kwa kumtambua Rais Museveni kwa juhudi zake. William Ruto ambaye ni rais wa Kenya anaarifu kwamba dunia zima inafaa kuwa na msimamo wa kuleta maendeleo Afrika. Na kabla ya mkutano huo, Waziri Mkuu Robina Nabanja alikutana na Dr. Jan Beagle, mkurugenzi wa muungano wa kimataifa wa maendeleo ya sheria IDLO, na kusifu uongozi wake kwa juhudi zake za kuunga mkono sekta ya haki na sheria nchini. Vijana wanachama wa vuguvugu la NRM Youth wamelalamikia tozo kubwa la ada ya kujiandikisha kwa wale wanaokuwa na nia ya kuwania katika nafasi zenye vyeo vikubwa vya kisiasa, kitendo ambacho wanasema kinawakwamisha na wanashindwa kuwania nafasi hizo. Licha ya changamoto hiyo, wameisifu Uganda kwa kufanya maandalizi mazuri wakati wa mikutano miwili, mmoja wa NAM na mwingine wa G77 iliyomalizika wiki iliyopita.
Youth League has been meeting critical stakeholders in the country about the future of this country. The reason we say NRM Youth League is because the young people are here much longer than any other person. And therefore, for a long period of time, secretively, we have been engaged in issues to do with the future of the country, meeting different stakeholders, asking fundamental questions, but also providing suggestions. One of the most critical area we have been following up on is the question of limited participation of young people in the politics of the country. Youth League is saying, in consonance with other youth leagues by the way, is saying that please, this participation is not enough. For instance, if you have 77% of the population, okay, being young, and you're saying at the largest and the highest structures, youth should be represented by 1 or 2. I think that is quite unfair, but also we have highlighted a few challenges like high fees, the nomination fees. We have been talking about this money.
Wanasayansi wamelalamikia ongezeko la wadudu wanaoshambulia mashamba kama viwavi jeshi. Wadudu hao waliharibu mashamba miaka ya 70 na 90, na kutokana na uharibifu mkubwa uliotokea, wanasayansi wanasema pana haja ya kuwakabili wadudu hao haraka iwezekanavyo. Everest Magara, meneja wa shirika la udhibiti wa nzige wa jangwani Afrika Mashariki, alitoa kauli hiyo wakati wa utoaji mafunzo kwa maafisa wa ugani wa kilimo wilaya ya Mukono. Viwavi jeshi huvamia mashamba ya mahindi, mtama na nafaka zinginezo. Mdudu mmoja anaweza kuharibu ekari nyingi tu za mimea hiyo ndani ya siku chache na kusababisha ukosefu wa usalama wa chakula. Ili kuwakabili viwavi jeshi hao na kuepusha hali ya uhaba wa chakula, Shirika la Udhibiti wa Nzige wa Jangwani Afrika Mashariki, Desert Locust Control Organization for Eastern Africa, limeanza kutoa mafunzo kwa maafisa wa ugani wa kilimo katika wilaya ya Mkono, ambapo mafunzo hayo yatadumu kwa siku 3.
Train, first of all, we started with some technocrats at the Ministry of Agriculture, Crop Protection Department, and now those people we trained from Nairobi are already here training extension agents at some of the selected sub-counties, and those extension agents will also train farmers such that we get what we call community-based African armyworm monitoring and forecasting, such that in the future we are able to know in advance that the outbreak is likely, and then we are prepared with the necessary equipment and pesticides. So currently we are doing what we are calling piloting. This system used to be around in the 1980s, 90s, but because this African armyworm had almost disappeared for a long time, and that system almost collapsed. But now we are trying to do revitalizing of the same system. And for that matter, we are doing what we call piloting in some 10 selected districts, including Kasese, Chiliandongo, Masindi, and others. Thank you.
Unaendelea kutizama taarifa hii ya habari kutoka hapa UBC TV. Shirika la maji nchini NWSC limeanza juhudi zake katika kuboresha huduma za maji safi katika miji ya Fort Portal, Hoima na Lira. Juhudi hizo zimeanza kufuatia upatikanaji wa ufadhili kutoka shirika la maendeleo ya Ufaransa la Agency for French Development, AFD, kwa ajili ya kupanua na kufanyia matengenezo mabomba ya maji ili kukidhi mahitaji ya maji yanayozidi kuongezeka kwenye miji kama hiyo.
And Lira. So we have Soleka and one consult as subcontractors who are going to carry out this feasibility study. We are very happy to thank AFD, who have offered a grant that is going to fund this feasibility study. And we want to ask the consultant Soleka and your people, make sure you deliver on time and give us quality product. Give us, because the feasibility study is a very big baseline for a detailed design and most importantly for determining how we go forward.
Kinachofuata hivi sasa, mtazamaji wa UBC TV, ni mapumziko machache au mafupi kutoka studio.
My name is Colonel Edith Nakarima Asuzwa. I head the State House Investors Protection Unit established by His Excellency Retired General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda and the Commanding Chief of the Armed Forces. The Uganda Electronic Investors Protection Portal is a digital platform that empowers investors to get authentic information, make inquiries, report, verify, and receive feedback. The Electronic Investors Protection Portal serves all existing and prospective investors, both domestic and foreign, as well as the general public, through enabling whistleblowers to report any concerns about investing in Uganda. The electronic portal guides investors with important and necessary information on investing in Uganda. It also offers a quick reporting and enforcement mechanism while ensuring real-time feedback. The Uganda Electronic Investors Protection Portal gives you access to authentic information and resources that are designed to help you make informed investment decisions and avoid common pitfalls.
To access the portal, log on to protection.statehouseinvest.go.ug or visit our website www.statehouseinvest.go.ug. Email us on info@statehouseinvest.go.ug or call us on 0326 100630. Visit our office at Lumumba Avenue, Plot 51B, Nakasero Hill, Kampala, Uganda. The State House Investors Protection Unit, empowering investors.
Karibu tena, na hivi sasa tunaangalia habari ya mwisho kwa siku ya leo ya mchezo, ambayo inasema kwamba mabingwa watetezi wa mashindano ya kombe la AFCON ambao ni Senegal wameondolewa kwenye mashindano hayo na wenyeji ambao ni Ivory Coast katika raundi ya 16 jana usiku, baada ya kutoka sare kwa goli moja kila upande na kuiangusha Senegal. Licha ya Senegal kuanza na ushindi, timu ya Ivory Coast bado itaendelea katika mechi za robo finali za AFCON, huku Cape Verde nayo ikifanya vizuri baada ya kuipiga Mauritania kwa bao 1-0.
The game ended in a draw and the hosts qualified through
Na mtazamaji wa UBC TV, sina budi kukuaga. Shukran kwa kuwa nasi toka mwanzo mwa taarifa hii ya habari kwa siku ya leo, na tuonane tena kesho panapo majaliwa.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
My name is Colonel Edith Nakarima Asizwa. I head the State House Investors Protection Unit established by His Excellency Retired General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda and the Commanding-Chief of the Armed Forces. The Uganda Electronic Investors Protection Portal is a digital platform that empowers investors to get authentic information, make inquiries, report, verify, and receive feedback. The Electronic Investors Protection Portal serves all existing and prospective investors, both domestic and foreign, as well as the general public, through enabling whistleblowers to report any concerns about investing in Uganda. The electronic portal guides investors with important and necessary information on investing in Uganda. It also offers a quick reporting and enforcement mechanism while ensuring real-time feedback. The Uganda Electronic Investors Protection Portal gives you access to authentic information and resources that are designed to help you make informed investment decisions and avoid common pitfalls.
To access the portal, log on to protection.statehouseinvest.go.ug or visit our website www.statehouseinvest.go.ug. Email us on info@statehouseinvest.go.ug or call us on 0326 100630. Visit our office at Lumumba Avenue, Plot 51B, Nakasero Hill, Kampala, Uganda. The State House Investors Protection Unit, empowering investors.
Amabara gange nibanyeta Tusime Elizabeth, chairperson Chaka Central Market Vendors Circle.
I want to express our gratitude to the government for providing us with Emyoga funds. As businesswomen, we are dedicated to enhancing our living standards. We received 30 million as seed capital, benefiting 340 women, 170 men, 70 people with disabilities, and 110 youth.
170 beneficiaries who have already benefited. Twine PWDs 70. Twine youth 110.
Our business range from poultry keeping to purchasing land and paying school fees, particularly for single mothers and even constructing homes. We are making significant progress.
A new dawn on Behind the Headlines with me, Timothy Nyangweso, every Wednesday live in our studios in the heart of Kampala. We have conversations that have analysis, explanation, but not every truth is fact and not every fact is truth. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
All on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
This week on UBC.
Did you know that our number one value as a nation is to respect and protect the environment? With the current population increase of Uganda and industrialization, this has increased pressure on the natural resources, resulting into environmental degradation and global warming. Developing countries like Uganda could face 80% of the global climate change effects by the year 2030 if no action is taken. Join us here on UBC TV, Inspiring Uganda, on our Eco Plus program, where we bring you an in-depth analysis of issues that are disastrous to our environment. Every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. only on your loved station, the National Broadcaster.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
akyagenda maaso n'okutikkira abayizi sabbiiti eno yonna ate nga so nga n'aba NUP abagambye okuba nti balina abantu baabwe abaabuzibwawo abaddukidde mu kkooti era nga gye biggweredde nga bakubye ssaabawolereza wa gavumenti mu mbuga asibye byokka ne Katikkiro wa Buganda Charles Peter Mayiga alambudde ekitongole ekigenda maaso n'okuba nga kinoonyereza ku by'obulimi ekya Naro ku mirimu egy'enjawulo gigenda maaso n'okuba nga ate gikolebwa mu bitundu by'eggwanga eby'enjawulo. Nkwaniriza ku UBC TV amawulire UBC leero ze Jethro Kasaiji Yusuf Senyomo akozesa obubonero ajja kuba nga ajja maaso. UBC leero tutandise bwe tuti. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni akubiriza amawanga agakulaakulanidda okutta omukago n'amawanga ga Africa okusobola okukulaakulanira wamu okusinga okwesigamanga ku buyambi. Obubaka buno butuusiddwa Ssaabaminisita Robert Nabbanja mu lukiiko olwatumibwa Italy Africa lwe yagenda okwetabamu mu kibuga ekikulu ekya Rome mu ggwanga lya Italy.
Museveni yagamba wasaana okubaawo enkolagana esobola okumalawo ebisoomooza ebitali bimu omuli okukozesa ebyuma eby'omulembe mu by'obulimi n'obulunzi okufukirira ebirime wamu n'okulwanyisa enkyukakyuka mu mbeera y'obudde. Mu bubaka bwe bw'atisse Ssaabaminisita Robert Nabbanja, President Museveni yagamba olukiiko luno olwa Italy Africa Summit lwa mugaso nnyo okwongera okukolaganira awamu mu kulwanyisa ebisoomooza entereka y'emmere. Museveni agamba nti Uganda ebalira ku ggwanga lya Italy mu kiseera kino nga yeddukanya omukago ogwa G77 plus China wamu n'ogwa Non-Aligned Movement era alowooza nti Italy okubanga yeekulembera mu kiseera kino amawanga ga G77 basobola bulungi nnyo okukoowoola amawanga ga namukago okukwatiza ku mawanga ga Africa. Mu mbeera ye President Museveni yasiimiddwa aba European Corporate Council on Africa and Middle East olw'amaanyi ge batadde mu kulaakulanya eggwanga Uganda ne Africa okutwaliza awamu.
Deliver your award to our President Museveni, what he did for the many years in Uganda, and if you see that, why we are delivering this award. And I think not better person like you, as my brother Prime Minister's sister, to receive this premium from a great man like Luigi Di Maio. Please.
Bw'abadde akwasibwa ekirabo kino okulwa President Museveni, Ssaabaminisita Nabbanja asiimye aba European Corporate Council on Africa ne Middle East n'ategeeza nga President y'ekirabo bwe kimugwanidde.
Was a net exporter of refugees before Yoweri Kaguta Museveni became a president. But now we host over 1.6 million refugees. And to me, that is a very big achievement. We usually have to have our brothers and sisters from the neighboring countries which have conflicts, and they come to Uganda. Uganda is a peaceful country. It is welcoming. And by the way, all this is possible because of our able President, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Please join me in thanking Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda.
Ye President wa Kenya William Samoei Ruto agamba ensi yonna erina kati okutunuulira enkulaakulana mu Africa.
It is the continent of opportunity, great potential, and a great future.
Penso che avete capito tutti, giusto?
It is for this reason that today we have the first ever Italy Africa Summit, because it is now clear to all that Africa is not what it has always been profiled to be.
mu bufu bwe bumu Nabanja asisinkanye ekitongole ky'amateeka ekya International Development Law Organization n'abeebaza olw'okuwagira Uganda ku nsonga ez'ebyamateeka wabula n'abasaba batunule ne ku nsonga z'ebyobulamu.
We need a hospital, a sophisticated hospital, where we can treat and diagnose our people early enough so that they can start on treatment. I think that's an area where we have not done very well. By the time somebody gets to know that he's sick of diabetes, he's sick, he's cancer, he has this, it's too late. Some of them, we diagnose them at stage 4. That's why you see us, flying them to India.
Olukiiko luno lwatuumibwa Italy Africa Summit lwaggulwawo Ssaabaminisita wa Italy Meloni ku mulamu ogugamba nti olutindo olwawamu olw'enkulaakulana. Nze Shaidat Nassaku.
Webale nnyo Shaidat. Kakati Minisita w'ebyempuliziganya n'okulungamya eggwanga Dr. Chris Baryomunsi agambye nti olukiiko lwa minisita lwakuddamu okwanja ekiteeso ekyokugatta ebitongole bya gavumenti ebimu ne ministry kiyambeko okukendeeza ku nsimbi ezisaasaanyizibwa ku biddukanya n'okutereeza obuweereza eri bannansi. Bino Baryomunsi abyogedde ku Media Center wano mu Kampala.
Olukiiko lw'abaminisita lwakuddamu okwanja ekiteeso ekyokugatta ebitongole ebya gavumenti kiyamba okutumbula obuweereza so n'okukendeeza ku nsimbi ezikozesebwa okubiddukanya. Olukiiko lwa Parliament lukakatibwako okutereeza amateeka. Lino lyennyini libeere nga likkiriza ebitongole okugattibwa bwe kibeera kyetaagisa.
Kubanga ebitongole bimu agencies ezimu twaziteekawo tuyitira mu mateeka ate kiba kyetaaga Parliament okukyusa oba kujjawo etteeka okulaba nti agencies zikomawo mu mother ministries. Kati ekyo tujja kuba tukikola nga tumaze kukkirizingana ne Parliament.
Ekiruubirirwa kyakumalawo okugatteka mirimu okulaba ng'ebitongole biteekebwa mu ministries bitwala ng'ate tewali kutaataaganya buweereza.
Tutunulire mu nsonga eno kati ezimu agencies tuzikomyewo zibeere mu ministries n'endala tuzimaginge tuzigatte wamu tulabe nti emirimu ya gavumenti tubeere tugikola bulungi nti tusevinge n'ensente zetusobola kuteeka mu service delivery mu buweereza.
Minisita w'ebyempuliziganya n'okulungamya eggwanga agambye nti waliwo ebitongole ebimu ebitajja kukozesebwa ku mutendera guno ogusooka. Ate ku nsonga endala gavumenti eteekateekawo okusengula abantu mu disitulikiti ey'e Buduuda ne Elgon naddala abakoseddwa ennyo okulugguka kw'ettaka n'amataba batwalibwe mu bitundu ebirala gye basobola okukolera emirimu nga tebataataaganyiziddwa.
Ati gavumenti egenda kuba eweereza abantu abo acres 2 z'ettaka ne miliyoni 10. Waliwo ekitongole ekya Give Directly nakyo kyagamba kigenda kwongerako miliyoni 7 tulabe nti abantu abo bali mu nsozi basenguka tubatwale mu bitundu ebitali bya nsozi ate ngu tukendeeze oba tujeewo ekyenkuba kutonya nnyo neeta abantu.
Ate ng'abayizi badda ku masomero gavumenti ezzeemu okuggumiza nti amasomero gokka agalina layisensi ge gakkirizibwa okuggulawo. Dr. Baryomunsi era agambye nti abasomesa abalowooza okwediima balirowoozezza ku ngeri endala ez'okuggusaamu okwemulugunya kwabwe mu kifo ky'okukosa abayizi.
Amasomero gagenda kugula n'abaana tubasaba muddeeyo ku masomero n'abasomesa muddeeyo ku masomero n'abazadde baffe mutwale abaana ku ssomero kati amasomero gajja kugulawo nga kalenda bwegamba.
Agambye nti emisaala gy'abasomesa tejja kwongezebwa mulundi gumu wabula mu bitondotondo. Shaidat Nassaku ne Ivan Kahwa mu Kampala.
Bwe tweyongerayo Lord Mayor wa Kampala Ssaalongo Erias Lukwago leero asinkanye ababaka ba Parliament aba Kampala abameeya n'abakulembeze abalala okukubaganya ebirowoozo ku ngeri gye bagenda okusaasaanya obuwumbi bwa kono 3.5 okukola enguudo obw'omukadde bwa $2 288 ezaava mu African Development Bank.
Mu mwaka gwa 2015 gavumenti ya kuno yakola endagaano y'okwewola ensimbi mu Africa Development Bank okuvujjirira enteekateeka y'okuddaabiriza enguudo z'omu kibuga eziri mu mbeera embi era ekitongole kya KCCA kyaweebwa obukadde bwa $2 za Amerika 288 okuddaabiriza enguudo ezisoba mu 30. Lord Mayor wa Kampala Erias Lukwago yawakanya ensimbi ezisaasaanyizibwa mu kukola enguudo n'ebirala ekyawa